Welcome everybody to the VR Master League. We are here doing a moment of silence for one of our fallen soldiers, Kensai. He is best remembered by his teammate, Dr. Killinger, who says, Kensai was a co-founder of Beginners from the day we started. He was a great teammate, a vocal leader, and an expert at clutching big matches. He was very open and a thoughtful person. And now a moment of silence.
Okay, guys.
Okay. Remember to do.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Good luck. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you all very much for that brief moment. We will be back with the pre-show in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Game starts soon.
I'm doing good. All things considered, Nightfire. Thanks for having me. I have confidence in Ground Branch. They've beat Vikings in the past, which is like another team way above their skill set. So you're hesitant going into this as Ground Branch. Don't get me wrong. Like they're a vastly I don't want to say like Boss Fight's a superior team, but I mean they're just more veteran players are on Boss Fight. Ground Branch kind of a newer team, but they're extremely good players. I just want to say that right now. Like Ground Branch is full of very talented players. I could totally. This game's kind of like soccer. Like if someone scores a goal, they're up a point. If someone on Marsoc caps under Volk's noses, that's 2 points, and that tilts the shift of power into the enemy team. So I mean, anything could happen here between these two teams. I think Boss Fight might be a little cocky going into this, perhaps just because of their ranking, and I completely understand why, but you can't underestimate the little guys.
I might have been muted that whole time. Well, you hear me now. You heard you, Wookie, so that's what really matters. The analysis is what really matters. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I am very interested to see if Boss Fight comes into this locked and loaded, right? Because Ground Branch is a good, talented team. They have, like you said, won against Vikings. And I guess my question to you was, if you're Ground Branch, how do you feel? And if you're Boss Fight, how do you feel? And, I think you're spot on that analysis, and that's really what we're going to have to keep an eye on. Is this going to be a dark horse matchup? Is Ground Branch going to sort of come out of nowhere and snag themselves a W and play spoiler to Boss Fight? I mean, if you lose to Ground Branch right now in your Boss Fight and you're ranked 4, I mean, you're getting danger close to that 7th place position. It could be a significant drop in MMR.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so important for Boss Fight to keep their eye on the ball here and not let Ground Branch, like you said, dark horse their way through this. I mean, Ground Branch kind of reminds me of Silent Purge. Like people continuously underestimate Silent Purge, and I feel like there's some elements to that going on here with Ground Branch. So, I mean, honestly, I'm rooting for the underdog. I want Ground Branch to win, but my predictions are that Boss Fight will pull this one through.
Yeah, and I think it is important to point out that when you're talking about these EU teams, the teams that play in that sort of EU space, the competition is, you get to face against top-tier teams a little bit more often than you would if you were in the NA pool, because it's not quite as robust. And so, just because they are at that worldwide rank, it's important to remember that if they're a top 10 EU team, it doesn't matter where they are in the standings, they're going to put up a good fight.
Absolutely. I mean, that was another thing I was actually going to bring up. Thank you for mentioning that. The EU side of things has a much smaller team pool to pull from than North America. So you are constantly facing teams that are, a little bit more spread apart in the worldwide standing, but pretty darn close in terms of skill level. So yeah, this will be honestly a crazy matchup between these two teams today. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it turns out.
Yeah, and we can get a little bit of an idea of where we're going to be headed in this series and what kind of maps we're going to be playing by the format that you see beneath you, if you're unfamiliar with it. Each team gets to ban a map. The home team bans first, the away team bans second, and then home team gets to pick the first map that is played on, or they get to choose side. Wookie, what do we have coming in for the bans today?
So from Ground Branch's side of things, they have banned Downfall. Apologies, English is hard. And on the Boss Fight side of things, they have banned Cargo, which is, it's such an interesting ban when Boss Fight bans Cargo, because I thought they like that map a lot. So it's kind of interesting that there's no latency difference like in the button cut between North America players and EU teams. Like these guys are both located in EU and they don't want to play Cargo. So kind of interesting, but I think they just want to play the more long range maps. Like Boss Fight wants to play Bazaar and Quarantine, and Ground Branch wants to play Suburbia and Cargo, and they banned Cargo on them. So definitely a ban, not out of weakness by any means, but a strategical ban against Ground Branch to close the gap, because Cargo is kind of known as that more of an equalizer of a map, because more things can go wrong, and flanks are quick and very fast, rapid. You can get a double kill rapidly on Cargo and things can tilt in your favor. So eliminating that from the possibility is like a smart call from Boss Fight, because they don't want to lose this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of that standing, that you mentioned earlier.
It is a must win for this Boss Fight team. And if you're Ground Branch, really, you're just trying to play spoiler. You're trying to practice up for the Challenger Cup. The odds are you're not going to be able to jump up 20 positions in rank in the last week of regular season. But you can certainly get your work in right now. If you can come out against Boss Fight here, they're gonna be a team that we're gonna have to keep the eye on. I mean, if they even do well here, I'm gonna be wanting to watch this team in the Challenger Cup, because Boss Fight are no slouches. So an interesting matchup for sure. And I agree with you on those bans. And the downfall ban, not surprising, because you have Radar, who's just a sniping beast. He has been really performing well with these snipers lately. You got to get rid of him.
That's scary, because you have Viper already, and now you have Radar head to deal with. Like, that's just frightening.
I think we are ready to hop in. We have everyone loaded in. Map 1 is going to be Suburbia. Wookie, you kind of called it. If Cargo's gone, Suburbia is going to be their choice, and it definitely is from Ground Branch. We are going to give the teams a go-ahead, and we should be hopping right into this match. No intermission.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up actually a moment ago, of how Ground Branch is really just kind of practicing for the finals, for the round robin. And they really have nothing to lose here, and that's what kind of makes them so scary, right? I mean, they are going to spoil this as hard as they can for Boss Fight, and they have nothing to lose.
What are they going to bring to the table? Are they going to get wild? Are they going to get loose? Are they going to play fast? Are they going to play passive? We'll find out as we hop in to round number 1 of map 1. Not a lot of comms from Ground Branch either. Seems to have their strategy locked in place. Everyone's focusing on what their plays are going to look like. Sayonara pushing up aggressive here. Catches out Radar right away. Down goes 1 to kick things off. Ground Branch up 5-4.
Yeah, there's like a really tight corner here between 35 and little Sayonara. They're just right next to each other, and I don't know, I think 35... Oh, there we go. Lonely Viper takes him out, covering 35's flank. Now it's up to Melted T, and Melted T goes down to 35. Now it is a 3v4 situation.
Echo free.
Boss Fight quickly taking back the momentum here.
Flash comes out towards Ollie. Ollie's tucked in, though. I don't think it catches him. Pops up, snags Scooby with a pretty easy kill. Able to dodge that flashbang. That's the double-edged sword of those flashes. They are powerful, but if they don't land, you're ending up exposing yourself like that, and Ollie capitalizing.
Yeah, and it's, the flashbangs are tricky because you have to airburst them above your intended target. If you let them fall on the ground, it's very likely that that will be blocked by some object or something. Ollie just doing work here as he moves up through lane 4. His teamwork is great. Oh, flashbang nails him. Lonely pushing up on Ollie. Takes out Ollie. Now it just comes down to Legel and Lonely Viper here to defend against Mystics and Legend X. Flashbangs thrown like crazy here. I'm sure Viper's blinded right now, but it doesn't matter because, well, the only defender that matters is in OBJ room right now, and Ground Branch are nowhere near the OBJ. So 3 minutes on the clock still. Plenty of time to figure this one out. Legend looks like he's going for a flank on Viper, but Viper is going to be keen. It really comes down right now to Legel and Mystics. Oh, Legend does find Viper on the flank. All comes down to Legel now. Whew. That was explosive round one.
Ground Branch off
Back
to
and
the
forth.
races. 2-1 here. Legel is tucked into the upstairs, and I gotta wonder if Mystics knows he's there because he's been rotating around pretty heavily in that bottom floor. Legend seems to be pretty keyed in up onto that 2-story, and they have to make their entry into this middle building. The objective is up here on the 2nd floor, so ultimately Legel is in the best defensive spot he can be.
Legend trying to get coverage from that spawn house, and he might actually find it here against Legel. Legel's smart though. He's in the corner of the stairwell, just kind of expecting that kind of play. Excuse me. I think Mystics is letting Legend know. Sorry, Legend is letting Mystics know exactly where he is. Legel takes the loss here against Mystics here.
Wow.
Ground Branch go up a point.
Ground Branch kicking things off 1-0. You gotta. That's a Marsoc round out the gate into the hands of Ground Branch. And, I mean, we're going to be saying it constantly if this is going to be the case. Ground Branch is ranked 22 against Boss Fights, ranked 4 worldwide. If Boss Fight loses, they're going to get a significant MMR hit. And if Ground Branch win, they're going to get boosted up a bit, but I don't think they're going to get into that top 7. And so, I mean, they're just playing spoiler here, and I mean, they looked good there. They had some good pickups.
Yeah, they really did. They had all the right rotations, and like they had cautious approaches, and they didn't leave anything to chance. I mean, they kind of went a little wild and loose there on the middle house at the very beginning because they 35 was about to get flanked, but Lonely Viper protected his teammate there. But that lane 4 push was definitely methodical and well played. This is only round 1. I don't want to say this could go towards Ground Branch just yet, but man, after what I saw, they are playing extremely well, and Boss Fight has to be really careful here.
Yeah, a pretty exciting kickoff to this series. Look, Venues has delivered on nearly every weekend with some fantastic matchups. This one did not expect to be close, but so far it's Ground Branch with the lead, and we'll see if they can pile on here as we hop in round number 2. Ground Branch going on defense now.
They might try. They might. If they go slow, they might bomb it with me. So.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
A lot of pre-fire coming out, but Boss Fight deciding to take a more cautious approach here and not run into it. All Legend and Legel each trade, but Legend threw a grenade that actually confirms Legel. Wow, that's amazing.
It was a very nice nade. He managed to thread that alleyway needle around the sandbags there. Got the kill. I don't know how he got confirmed. Scooby maybe finding those shots, but is Scooby going to be ready for Sayonara, who's slowly working his way up prone here through this gap? And I don't think Sayonara is looking to the right. Yeah, the wall blocking vision. Could Scooby? Yeah, I wonder what Scooby's plan of approach is here. He might be able to get to the front of the house.
Melted through a botch nade. May have found Scooby if he threw that the way I think he intended it to be thrown. Scooby just slowly creeping up here on this carport position.
They have Mystics there. He just dips past Scooby's line of sight. Scooby doesn't take any shots, doesn't give away his position. And really only Scooby knows where Mystics is.
Nice. Scooby goes in for the kill and immediately rotates. That is, I hope you're taking notes, people. Oh, Mystics finds Radar and Scooby. Wow, what
Wow.
a flank.
Honestly,
Immediately,
like,
boss fight are
honestly-
down 3 members. Now it's
These-
just 3 members of Ground Branch defending this objective.
He sat there so patiently throughout all of that. He crossed out, got called out, ID'd by whoever was in carport, Scooby there, but then managed to pop up and get that kill onto Radar and make it into a double. Very nice. Viper quickly finding the refrag on the back end. And, I mean, we're into a 2v2. I'm still shocked it's a 2v2 right now. Boss fight is just not going their way, and now they have to make an entry up against the likes of Ollie and Little Sayonara.
You know, as is tradition, Viper rocking the 12-time scope. I don't know how he does it on Suburbia. I frankly, it is something to behold because no one in their right mind plays Suburbia with the 12 times. But Viper can do it no problem.
I mean, hey, he's almost catching Ollie Howden through the window here. Shots just going over his head. And I think to the credit of the sniper, there is a few more angles you can take these days. This one case in point, Lonely Viper able to get this sort of Overwatch position on to that middle house, able to fire into those windows. If he spots anything from Ollie peeking up, he'll have that 12 times to laser in on it.
Yeah.
And so you got to be worried if you're GB there. Got to stay tucked in.
I don't know if you are watching Viper zeroing in with his laser right now on Ollie, but I just want the audience, the folks at home, to know that Ollie just changed his name green. He's not like a developer or anything special like that. He's just a normal league player.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have some rulings coming in against that soon enough. I don't imagine it's something that'll continue to to happen, but yeah, it's first time I've seen it. Yeah, he's managed to just sort of, it's a hex code, but
yeah, it's just a hex code he injected in front of his name. It's nothing special. But that said, I mean, 35 slowly pushing in towards Sayonara, and I don't think Sayonara will be ready. I think 35 is just covering his 12 o'clock and then going in for a quick kill. Oh, especially now that he's shot. 35 is zeroed in on that location. Takes him out. Now it's a 2v1 situation for Ollie all by himself on objective.
He's got to be so careful here. He can't peek up too much through these windows, or Viper is going to have that shot. The flash comes out, and it's actually going to catch 35 pretty well. But again, if he gets too aggressive here and peeks these doorways, or these windows, excuse me, Viper is just going to be lasering in. 40 seconds left, actually, and Viper is going to have to push up if they want to make an entry into these stairs. Flashlights on the stairs in an effort to blind as they make their way up.
Ooh, beautiful flash, but it unfortunately doesn't find him. Ollie takes out Viper. 35 laying down fire here. 15 seconds on the clock.
Wow.
And 35 picks it up. 1-1.
I think that right there is just exemplifies what happens when you come down to that pressure moment. You know, right there, all he had to do really was just avoid the gunfire. Tuck himself in, 20 seconds left, let the player waste their bullets and time, and force them to come up and try and go for the cap or kill you. You know, they're while that gun's being shot, he's not punching in a code. You can guarantee that in your mind. And so, you know, it's a matter of, oh, he's the last person alive, I'm the last person alive. He could cap there, but he's not, and reacting to that quick enough, Ollie ends up peeking and exposing himself when maybe he could have tucked in for just those last 15 seconds, and it could be 2-0 GB here.
Yeah, 35 played his cards right because he is using a drum magazine on the AK-5C, and Ollie was listening for him to reload, but he never had to reload. He just kept shooting that doorway, and I think psychologically that affected Ollie. I think he wanted to get the kill, and he was just waiting for him to run out of ammo, but he never did. And I mean, to what you said, Ollie just had to stay tucked behind cover. There was no way that 35 was going to press him, I don't think. But people do funny things on those tight pressure moments like that.
Yeah, that's for dang sure. Either way, a solid bit of defense from the likes of Ground Branch, bringing it down to that 1v1. And we could really have ourselves a close series for the day today. Ground Branch doing well enough to at least get it 1-1 here. Now we'll see if boss fights start to get loose. They start to feel out the Ground Branch team and play style, how they're going about doing things. And if they can use their experience to sort of leverage a bit more of a lead here, they've managed to get that Marsoc round back from the clutches of GB, and we now go back onto the defense with a South Garage objective for round 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's just take a moment to appreciate how many people are favoring Ground Branch versus Boss Fight. 4 people are currently favoring Ground Branch to come out on top here. Meanwhile, 66 people are favoring Boss Fight. So definitely an underdog kind of situation here for Ground Branch. Let's see who pulls through. I mean, this is round 3, and already we have pre-fire coming out. Ground Branch really taking advantage of those pre-fire lanes. Oh, and a drone too. They brought the drone out. So they are going to probably find Scooby's position here in just a moment. That black smoke from the house kind of blocking the shots, but they do take out the drone. So unfortunately, lost opportunity there to get some angles on Volk, but still knowledge gained. You know that there's someone firing their gun, shooting it down, and that's still a lot of information to work with.
Scooby's got a grenade in hand and his tablet out with the drone. I think he's watching that drone, waiting until he can throw this nade. I don't know where that drone's positioned, but nade does come out to the center. It gets a little bit... I don't think he threw it where he wanted it to. But
yeah, I don't think he did either.
I don't know, maybe he did. He's throwing another nade in the same exact position. Doesn't catch anybody.
Oh, no.
He gets team killed by 35. Boss Fight feeling the pressure themselves. Ollie here. Viper manages to swing fine that kill. Gets the confirm.
Yeah, it's not every day that you see Boss Fight flub 2 grenades back to back, so they are definitely feeling the pressure today. That's the kind of mistake you make when you're just under a lot of pressure not to make mistakes. Ironically enough, that's how humanity, like human psychology works, right? You try so hard not to make a mistake that you actually do make a mistake. Boss Fight doing a great job, though, cleaning it up. Only 2 members of Ground Branch remain here against 4 members of Boss Fight. And you might think they're defending middle objective, middle house, but the objective is spawn house garage. So really forward defense working out in Boss Fight's favor here. Mystic's going to take out 35. Now it's all to Melted T over here in lane 2 to at least get an angle and flank, but Viper and Radarhead are just too tucked in on this objective.
Yeah, they are.
I'm sorry, this house. Oh, trade goes out between Mystics and Viper. So now it really just comes down to a 2v1 situation, which we see here way too often, but Radarhead will take out Melted T, and that is it for round 3. Boss Fight winning that round.
I mean, these rounds are just flying along here. Look, we are cruising through map number 1. Boss Fight snagging a pretty quick defensive set there, and if you're GB, you got to slow things down now. You know, you can't allow Boss Fight to come in here with another quick round. If Boss Fight come aggressive and potentially get a cap, which, you know, on this objective is a challenge, it's something that you got to be thinking about if you're Ground Branch. You got to be expecting, okay, Boss Fight might get aggressive here. They might try and really smother us. They've got a little bit of an advantage and had a quick win. Because, you know, these veteran teams, they're good at running with momentum.
Definitely. I mean, if you're Boss Fight, you are feeling a little bit better now, having at least a point up on the board. And I mean, realistically, like, Boss Fight are a very talented team. I mean, these guys have been playing together for numerous seasons now. So Ground Branch, though, to their credit, have really risen up the ranks. I mean, I'm pretty sure this team formed at the start of the season or near the start of the season. And they, you know, started down at the bronze level like everyone else, and they've just been winning so many matches. And I think they're on the top end of silver, like on the cusp of gold at the moment. So, you know, we're talking about them being a spoil for Boss Fight, but at the same token, you know, Ground Branch wants to place as high as they can at the end of this season so that you go into next season at a higher ranking.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is kind of the last bit of placement you'll get before we have another season. And, you know, typically a bit of MMR gets carried over, you know, to the each season, across each season. And so, yeah, it is going to affect their placement when it comes down to next season. And you're right, if they get this win, I mean, geez. We'll have to look at the numbers, because there's only so much you can gain. You know, there's only so many ranks that can go up. It's not like they can go from 22nd to 10th. I just don't think that's even possible. I think there's too much of an MMR gap there. But, you know.
Yeah, there is. I mean, I think the most I've ever seen someone jump up MMR is like 20 MMR anyways. I don't know. I'm not an MMR expert by any means, because it's all a mystery. But, yeah, I haven't seen anyone jump more than 20 points.
I do think we're getting a brief timeout. We are getting the color situation hopefully resolved, and there should be limited confusion across the spectating board there on who is what or on what team. But either way, Ground Branch doing well to start off this series, you know, coming out the gate to get that first round on Marsuck. I'm wondering if they shocked Boss Fight enough, and if Boss Fight are going to really start to focus in, or if maybe they got to themselves 2 rounds here and then are going to go back to just, okay, we got this, and let Ground Branch sort of creep their way into the series.
Well, if you're Ground Branch, you want to at least get 1 map win under your belt, just to like minimize the consequences of losing, because I mean, odds are they're likely to lose against Boss Fight, but you can mitigate that damage, right? I mean, if you at least get a map win under your belt, you will probably remain where you are, because Boss Fight are such a higher ranking than Ground Branch that even if they do lose, it's okay. They'll probably sit right where they are on the totem pole. But that said, names have been resolved, and we are going to dive here into round 4. Still spawn house, garage, objective for Ground Branch.
Mystics putting down suppressor fire, and Ollie had to work his way around Mystics so as not to go in front of him and get caught out on his own pre-fire down the lane. Ollie really tucking in the ball there.
Such a great grenade from Scooby. Unfortunately, he had already repositioned. But man, if Scooby was just a second or so faster on that grenade, he would have actually gotten Mystics there. Very impressive throw. This is kind of like that calculated push I'd expect to see coming out of Boss Fight on lane 4. Like, they are just slowly pushing forward. Suburbia, you know, more time than ever with 6 minutes on the clock. Or sorry, 5 minutes. But still, 4 minutes is plenty of time to get into position.
Yeah, they have a lot of time to work with. Boss Fight is playing this one a bit passive, which is interesting considering, you know, at least what I was expecting was for maybe Boss Fight to really try and suffocate out this GB team, play it quick, you know, and be right in the face of Ground Branch. But maybe that's, you know, an indication that Boss Fight is respecting Ground Branch right now. You know, they aren't getting over aggressive. They aren't getting overzealous. The nade gets caught into the window. It could have been perfectly tossed onto Mystics. Ends up avoiding him. A nice flash goes up over the roof. That should catch Leggle, but no movement off of it from Mystics.
Man, I'm really worried Ollie's going to shoot Mystics. Nope, he doesn't, thank God.
Yeah, always got to focus on radar here on the corner. Flash comes out, Ollie swings. The flash didn't catch him. It didn't go far enough around the corner, so a pickup there. Scooby here hears those comms, swings, finds the shots onto Ollie in the trade.
Oof. Oh, and just like that, Viper snipes Legend, quickly evening the things. Oh, I can't even talk before another person dies. I was about to say it's evened up, and now it's a 2v3 situation for Boss Fight here. And as I say that, Viper takes out Melted Tea. It is now a 2v2 situation. This is just crazy. Like, this is what I mean, right? Like, none of this is getting, like, none of these rounds are blown out, right? It's always coming down to a 2v2, 1v1 situation here. And that just goes to show, like, there might be an MMR gap, but there is not a skill gap whatsoever here. Like, these are two very good teams fighting.
I mean, we've been
that could all change on map 2, though.
We've been saying it on cast, you know, the top 20 the pool now is just so competitive.
Yeah.
You know, and the case in point, even down below the 20s,
Wow.
Ground Branch still doing pretty good. Viper again with the snipe. That's his third of this round. Finds himself another long-range shot, and again, you know, to your point that you made earlier, just something you would never expect, something that you're not as hard to honestly even prepare for because nobody does it. But that range that Viper brings to Suburbia has been working quite well.
Yeah, and I was kind of corrected in chat earlier that it's now a 6x or a 12x if you toggle it. I kind of forgot about the whole toggling. But still, I mean, 6x is a lot of zoom, even for Suburbia. I mean, I would stick with a 4 times personally, but that's why I'm not Viper, I suppose. He is the god at this kind of thing. But he does pick up a gun with a red dot, kind of over the... Oh, Mystics takes out Viper on a slow cross across the street. But man, I mean, I was just about to say, like, that Viper is so hot right now with those 3 headshots in a row, taking out so many members of Boss Fight. But Mystics taking out 35 as he pushes up the stairs. And my God, it's a 2v2 now on the scoreline. This is so close.
Really good job there from Mystics to work off of those shots. He went up the stairs, and you could see the pre-fire coming onto the corner there. That gave away the position for Mystics to then work off and rotate down to. And what was looking like potentially even a cap if Viper had worked his way around the defense ends in Ground Branch tying things up. Yeah, this series, it's beyond what I could expect. I mean, hey, it's beyond what I would say 98% of the league predicted. You know, like you said, 4 to 60, 69 or something, 68 votes. Everyone heavily favoring Boss Fight, as you would if you were to look at just the raw rankings. But I mean, geez, Ground Branch staying in this one, and you got to get a little worried if you're Boss Fight right now. You really got to start to kind of lock things up. Cannot afford to let this one slip away from you.
Yeah, I don't know if Boss Fight likes Suburbia all that much. I know that they play it very well. I'm really excited to see what they choose for map 2, because right now this is Ground Branch's map choice here, and they are performing so well. But I mean, if that could all change as soon as we hit map 2, and you know, who knows? They can get blown out from map choice from Boss Fight. Maybe they'll pick Quarantine.
Yep.
And they will just Boss Fight are so good at Quarantine. It's kind of scary, especially with how well Viper is sniping people right now on Suburbia. He's currently 9-4. Meanwhile, Mystics on Ground Branch side is 8-2. So those two guys on each respective team is just doing so much work. They're definitely carrying the team on their back right now. But that said, again, you increase the range on map 2, and things are looking more in favor of Boss Fight.
A bit of a brief tech pause there as Ground Branch had another reconnect, but the intermission not much longer than the normal minute and a half between rounds for teams to organize strat, and we are going to be hopping into round number 5 of map number 1 here, and we'll see what Boss Fight do on defense, the tank objective, as we go to a new one. I don't know. This one, tough to cap without smokes these days.
It is tough, but, you know, like we've mentioned before, you get enough covering fire in the right places, you pin those defenders down, and you can, sneak in a cap for sure. And Ground Branch, this is their chance here to cap and take map 1. So if you're Boss Fight, you're definitely worried because Ground Branch are in capping range. You don't want to make any more mistakes. Scooby taking up that position right there by Burning House, and hopefully he... Oh, I didn't see Viper there too.
Watched him move up pretty early to that spot. Mystics didn't spot him, so he's not aware that Viper has gotten there. Viper has not spotted Mystics either, however, so that potential for him to be flanked is very much alive and well. He should be able to hear footsteps behind him if that comes to that full sprint, but as soon as Mystics gets within range, he turns a fantastic
grenade. That's the grenade I was looking for Scooby. I was going to say that, hopefully he throws better grenades from that sandbag location than the last time. Oh, it's a trade here. Not good. 2.5. 2 members of Ground Branch remaining. against boss fights.
Keep up, Wookie. It's a lot of action. Melted T swinging on Scooby here. Scooby trying to get the res on the Lonely Viper, but they're going to miss each other. Melted spotted by 35 on the back end. 35 doesn't take the shots. A nice nade coming up and over. Doesn't airburst. Gets a bit far. Melted again passes 35. Should have the angle onto Viper, and Scooby misses that res. Scooby swings here. Down he goes. The quick refrag from 35 onto the back end, and now it's all up to Sayonara.
Just gonna ride along with Sayonara for a moment because, well, 4v1 is just insurmountable odds for anyone. So let's see how much damage Sayonara can do.
You know, it's at this point though, you know, the pressure's certainly on Sayonara, but to lose the Marsoc round while you're tied isn't, you know, it doesn't hurt too much. It doesn't sting too badly. If they can kind of bounce quickly back from this one, get a Volk round of their own, I mean, they can keep this thing close. Because these rounds are so quick, you can stay locked in even if you do have kind of a tough start or a tough loss. And I don't know, Sayonara is working his way through the defense. Radar not really aware of this position. As soon as Sayonara takes a shot, there's going to be about 3 different lasers.
Well, I wonder
on him.
Yeah, I wonder if Sayonara saw Legel's gun.
He hears it.
I hope so. He's trying to get a shot on Radar Head right now. Oh, and it's a trade. Nice.
Good
Yeah,
job
I
for
mean, it's
Radar.
such a it was such a wide open objective. It's kind of like really hard to do anything because everyone is just staring at the center of the map. So, yeah, Lonely Viper right now with 10 kills. My God, he made it to double digits.
Yeah, I mean, we're not even into the late rounds of this series yet. Still got 2 left potentially to be played out here, and he already to be at 10 kills, like you said, is quite an achievement. To that point, Mystic's right there at 8, so he nearly himself in the double digits for Ground Branch. So each one of the teams, respectively, having an outstanding performer seems to be key, you know. And on this next defensive round, I mean, geez, this is way more back and forth than I was expecting. I know we keep saying it,
Yeah.
but I mean, for Ground Branch to be this close right now, it's very impressive. They are looking disciplined. You know, they're not getting over aggressive on their pushes. They're staying pretty coordinated. They're getting the refrags. You know, for the most part, they're answering back pretty nicely. And I think Suburbia is really what is ultimately letting this be so close, because Boss Fight just not performing maybe as well as they would hope to as a team. You know, Viper's doing great, but if just one player is performing well, it does make it kind of hard to string together a couple of wins.
Absolutely. So, I mean, Ground Branch definitely putting up a fight here on Suburbia, without a doubt. I mean, especially with all this pre-fire coming out. I don't know. Well, I haven't seen anyone go down to pre-fire yet, but I mean, they keep doing it. So that's an indication that they have prepared for this map. They're watching the lines, and they're trying to get picks early on. They're no slouch at Suburbia. I'll say that much.
That is for sure. I mean, Boss Fight have been playing pretty well today too. The 10 kills on Radar, the sniping is so unique and really interesting to see brought to this map. I don't think I've seen Radar snipe with that 6 times on Suburbia before, so a new tactic to be brought at the last week of regular season. And I mean, maybe it's not new to him, but you know,
you mean Viper?
Fun to watch. Yeah, sorry, did I say Radar?
Yeah, you said Radar. I was like, he doesn't have a 6 times.
They're practically brothers anyway, okay?
Yeah, they are. Brothers from another mother.
Uh-huh.
What's the over-under here that Boss Fight capped? I mean, this is if you have map domination here in the middle, I mean, it's pretty high chance you'll probably get a cap in. Because I mean, looking at this defense right now, you know, it's kind of spread out, but, you know,
It really is.
enough forward defenders that if Boss Fight can take out those defenders, they might be able to cap.
Yeah, I think the most weak point here for this Ground Branch defense is this east side where there is a 3-stack, Radar, Viper, and Scooby. Ollie gets down by a very nice nade tossed up over the top, or confirm nade from Radar gets him on the corner, and they heard the comms that they downed him, so now they know they've rid this early burning building defender, and that their position is given away. Legend taking a few shots, Sayonara looking for an angle, Melted T denying a legal movement over on the west. And the rest of this boss fight team is shifting themselves over to this playground area.
Did you catch that grenade? I did.
Mm-hmm.
It was beautiful. Nice throw, Scooby. That is such a hard grenade to get that arc just right over the roof. Oh, man, it's difficult.
The arc essentially has to be equivalent to that of the roof slope so that it ends up dropping right at the edge of that roof. Because if you go too far with it, you end up missing that nade. And that is why it's such a challenging toss, because it isn't just a huck and you'll get it. It's a very finessed grenade toss.
Yeah, it has to be tight, otherwise it'll roll away. 35 is just kind of, I don't know. Him and Mystics Radar takes out Little Sayonara. 35 and Mystics here might get a trade on lane 2. Man, this is just such a close game.
Mystics was
Mystics.
the nade.
Oh wow. Trade does come out between Mystics and 35. He did flash Melted T before he went down, but man, boss fight have 3 attackers up against Melted T, the last remaining defender of Ground Branch, and there it is. Boss fight will take map 1, 4-2.
Might be, the closest Ground Branch get this series. Now we go to boss fights map pick for map number 2. And it's tough to lose your map choice. If you have that home team advantage to come out the gate and lose something that you're hoping that you'll have an advantage on, it makes it tough to then go into that second map, which is going to be something that favors the range even more for boss fight. I think Quarantine probably the most likely option that we end up seeing here for map number 2. Maybe Bazaar, but yeah, Q1 is going to be where we're headed for map 2, and no surprise to me, at least.
No surprise to me either. I mean, this is boss fight's favorite map, I want to say, so yeah.
They've done so well to find so many unique angles here, and there's a ton of them. There are so many sniper long range lines of sight to take up on Q1 right now, and boss fight have really done a good job of practicing and finding new ones nearly on a week-to-week basis. He is.
Yeah, they've been putting in work.
Yeah, they are definitely a team that is going to be a tough one to root out on this Quarantine map. And I think we are going to go into a brief timeout as we get some subs brought in for at least Ground Branch. I don't know if boss fight are going to bring in anyone, but with that time, we will cut to a brief intermission, and then we will come right back with map number 2. Don't go anywhere. It could be the series decider if boss fight take it. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for bearing with us for a brief intermission. We are here on map number 2, Quarantine, with Boss Fight versus Ground Branch. Ground Branch going up against Boss Fight's map pick here, and they will be starting off on defense with a downed plane objective. What are your thoughts on this one, Wookie? I think it's kind of a doozy on both ends.
Yeah, I mean, this is, if your defense crumbles in the right spots, it's really easy for you to get a cap on this objective because it's so isolated. Like, you have that fuselage, and it's just so well protected that if your defenders aren't inside the fuselage themselves, then there's a good chance that you'll get capped on. So it's as long as Boss Fight can make their way into objective from the northwest, which it looks like they're doing, they might have an early round 1 cap. Assuming they get all the right picks, right? I mean, there's only 2 defenders right now, even remotely close to objective. So all Boss Fight really needs to do is pick off those 2 guys, and they can sneak in and get a cap. I mean, that said, I make it sound so easy. Very easy.
Piece of cake. Just get in there, punch in the 7-digit code, 6-digit code, do it real quick, memorize it, get it done under the pressure of your whole series on the line. Yeah, piece of cake.
So easy. Like, I don't know why it doesn't happen more often.
Gonna be a bit of a slow burn, though, to your point. That north spawn for Boss Fight does typically lead to the north push, and Ground Branch have not invested any early defensive positioning up here in this north side. They're not going to see any sort of peaks on the west, nothing on the rooftop, and so it's going to be a little bit before Polis and Lego end up working themselves up towards what is objective building and then challenging that on-objective defense. But I mean, this is an interesting setup. They are really quite spread out. Ollie, honestly, the only one defending OBJ. Little Sayonara and Legends way over here in the south. Seems to be a bit of a risky setup.
Nice shot against Mad Hatter. Lego taking him out, but Sayonara answering back, taking out Scooby with a nice headshot. Now I'm a little nervous for Boss Fight because they have to deal with Mystics over here, and he is not waiting around for them to show up. He's getting pretty aggressive with it.
Yeah, this is sort of one of the early routes I was talking about that you could take. Mystics could swing here and be right up on this offense and be peeking this dune. It's been a common spot that people have picked up. Also tucking in behind these doors could have been prosperous, but Mystics didn't want to get too aggressive on defense. And I mean, to the point, they were already pretty spread out. Here comes a nade up and over. Would have been great if it was just 5 or 6 seconds later. So I'm sure Lego and Polis were thinking of pushing up there.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Yeah. Mystics inadvertently compromising his position there without any benefit, right? I mean, if you're gonna throw a grenade, you'll want to kill them. Otherwise, it's kind of like a wasted effort, wasted utility. You never want that, but it's so hard to land grenades exactly the way you want them. Legel already popping in here, looking for Mystics who intelligently fell back towards objective. Now we got that classic hallway positioning here between Legel and Polis Bill, and Mystic's gonna go prone in this.
Finds one.
Legel with the refrag there.
Oh,
he gets another one, and this is what we're talking about. That objective is wide open. Legel is tablet out, and we might get a cap here on round 1 by Boss Fight. Code is going, but Sayonara, wise on what was happening, takes out Legel. He was so close to typing in that code.
Yeah, and I think what we saw there was Sayonara being intentionally not killed. I think Viper and and 35 had angles on him, but Viper was just putting rounds around him, trying to deter. But very good on Sayonara to push in there, know he was the last one, deny that cap from coming in. He's checking all the angles on OBJ, which is risky because 35 is working his way up ever closer to having that angle. And I mean, 40 seconds left. Sayonara has kept Ground Branch in this still. And as I say, that Viper finds himself a nice one from that second story, and a W for the Boss Fight to kick things off.
Yeah, really well done by Sayonara there, because it's better you just die than to risk a cap, but he decided to crash towards objective. hoping to die perhaps, but he finds that attacker typing in the code, takes him out, and now it's just like, okay, just someone kill me now so no one else can cap, please, And Viper happily killed him. So I mean, wow, it was really close. I think if Sayonara didn't rotate at that exact moment, Lego would have typed the code in, no doubt.
That's a really veteran play there. Honestly, that I think even with a high level team, that gets capped. For Sayonara to persevere through the suppressive fire that Viper was putting all around him, to avoid that, not get distracted, because that's all Viper wanted. All Viper wanted was for Sayonara to just turn there, take a little gander, buy some time. 2 or 3 seconds is all he needed to do there, but Sayonara just sprinted through the gunfire to get straight to objective and deny that code from getting punched in. Really a solid job to keep it to just a 1-point kickoff, because that's the last thing you want, right? To lose the map 1-4-2 and then instantly be capped on, your spirits just go down the drain.
Oh, it's devastating. All your morale goes right out the window when that happens.
So good job
it's
of
just,
them,
Yeah, good job on them. I mean, it is so much momentum to overcome if you get capped on a round 1. It is like a tidal wave washing over you. It's hard to get your bearings after that.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about going on tilt in esports quite often. It happens in VR esports all the same too, and maybe even worse because you have a few more elements of your body that affect your gameplay, and so if you start to tilt, it really is hard to recover and recognize what you're doing wrong. But we'll see if Boss Fight can defend this south push. It is seemingly a decent setup for the spawn.
I gotta give Ground Branch credit for that high-level play last round, but I gotta criticize him for bringing out the drone on spawn, because all you do is just tell Boss Fight where you spawned when you do that, and Boss Fight will absolutely use that information against you.
Yeah, they will.
So, I mean, and the drone only has about 2 minutes of battery, so why even bring it out at spawn? It just makes no sense. And Legel's going to shoot it down. That is information for them, but I mean, at this point, it is a 4v4, but still, I mean, Ground Branch being the attackers have to use every advantage they can, and you just don't want to give away free intel like that.
They did manage to get one over to the north pretty early. Ollie Howden managed to cross that street, and I think he went undetected. So an element of surprise that this Ground Branch team can utilize if they end up timing everything just right, and Ollie makes it all the way up to that rooftop. He could really be a nice piece to sort of pinch this Boss Fight defense that is in the middle.
True, and I mean, I'm actually impressed with the spawn being known right off the bat that he was able to cross without any, friction.
It's because they went so early. I mean, to your point, they used the drone early, but they had already sort of invested in giving up their spawn because they would expect for Ollie to cross that they get ID'd. And maybe that drone, if anything, drew attention away from the rotation that Ollie put on here, because he's really going to be a threat once he gets up to that roof.
Yeah, we'll never know. We'll have to run the tape back in the replays and really see what happened there. But I mean, to your point, he is just running along the north unopposed. Boss Fight seemingly thinking that the entire Ground Branch team is south in the hospital right now. 35 takes out Mad Hatter. Quickly, the odds are diminishing for Ground Branch, but they have their rook. I don't know. their fallback here is Ollie just making his way along the north undetected, really, at this point, because Ground Branch is pretty much trapped in the south. He might be able to find a shot on Polis. I see the lasers. 35, as I say, that takes out Mystic. So yeah, this push from the north is Ground Branch's insurance, and he, oh my god, he might actually just slip by. As long as Ollie doesn't take shots that miss, he might actually be able to run right in on objective.
He's got that 1v2, we've talked about how Ground Branch had weak on-objective defense. It is the similar case here for this Boss Fight setup. Heavily focused on that center and south defensive positioning. And
if they can make enough noise in the south for Ollie to just utilize that distraction, I mean, Ollie could theoretically cap.
Yeah, the problem is it's only Legend left to work to do this sort of distraction. So if he gets picked up by the likes of Legel, Scooby, 35 even, who have potential angles up to this roof, it's going to make it ever harder for Ollie to pull that off. But I mean,
Yeah,
hey, he's
and
getting
Ollie-
closer.
Ollie is running out of time too, less than 90 seconds on the clock to pull this off. And I mean, boss fight are going to start running around like mad dogs, and when that happens, Legel,
come on.
beautiful grenade. So yeah, Ollie just shot his. Oh wait, no, that's Pulse Bill. Sorry. So Ollie has a lot of work cut out for him because he's got 1 minute on the clock now, and he gave away his position. So that was definitely the wrong move to make there, because boss fight are going to run around just looking for a trade at worst, right? Scooby going on the roof, Pulse Bill right here below, Ollie taking him out, Ollie going in, Scooby's now running down the airplane wing. He knows exactly what's going on. So little time left on the clock that Ollie has no choice but to just push it, and Scooby's right there waiting for him.
Solid hold from Scooby, and I mean, hey, if Scooby goes down there, things get a little spicy. You know, it's that was certainly the right move from Ollie, and just a hint off timing. You know, if it had been just a little bit sooner when those shots were coming in from the south, who knows how those rotations look and what happens there. But either way, a solid job from boss fight. Now they go up 2-0, and it's something you don't want to have happen if you're GB. You know, you want to be able to keep things close, because boss fight run with momentum, and they've already got a map under their belt. They've got the series in their sights. They felt maybe a little bit of concern for their MMR in that first map, and you know, now they seem to be turning it on. And so it's going to come down to if Ground Branch can sort of answer the call, you know, to what boss fight bring to the table.
Yeah, and boss fight are already up 2 points. That means that all they need to
Yeah.
do is get a cap here on tank objective in the middle, and this is such a hard objective to lock down properly. Like, your defensive team coordination has to be so on point for this one, because there's a lot of opportunities for boss fight to just walk up and get a cap. So assuming Ground Branch has their defensive tactics in order, you know, they'll put up a fight for boss fight, but I don't wish this objective on anybody, because it is so difficult to properly defend it.
I agree. I think it's there's no real hidden cap angle though, right? I mean, I think you can maybe get something on the corner of the tank, but I don't think you can cap from the other side of it. I don't think you can cap from inside the building. Maybe if you get right up to the window.
Yeah, if you hold your hand out the window, you can actually
Okay.
cap. So yeah, as long as the defense doesn't get too lopsided one way or another. Oh, Pulse Bill already taking out Ollie on the cross in the south. That's not going to be good for Ground Branch, who are already a man down at the very first few seconds of round 3. Scooby-Doo running right up the middle, takes out Mystics already. Already this is looking terrible for Ground Branch with their 3 defenders remaining here. Scooby just running right up the middle, and I don't know, Sayonara gonna peek and take him out, or M203 used on
Sayonara
Mad
missed
Hatters.
him.
Oh man, this is Scooby's tablet out. Mad Hatters, he's gonna walk right in front of Mad Hatter.
okay.
Legel's there for the refrag and on objective, so now Legel is going for the cap. Sayonara has to rotate right now. He's not he did rotate. Viper took him out. Legel's typing on the code. This is it. Oh my God! Legend takes out Legel again with the. He's so close to typing the code in, and Legel just gets taken out twice now.
Gets 2. Viper knows he's here on the roof. Viper says, "Let's lock in our third. We don't need the cap." And hey, that's what I'm talking about, right? Yes, it's hard to defend, but there's also not exactly ample coverage to punch in code. And so if you do lose on objective defense, it can get close. I mean, geez, Scooby and Lego right there to punch it in. But it is equally as challenging to find a good spot to do it.
And I was not expecting Legend to go up on the roof. I mean, that was such a powerful defensive position for him, especially with, you know, all of boss fight running straight up the middle. Usually you try to take the roof and you try to gain that coverage over OBJ, especially on an objective like tank. But man, Legend just taking out that and that was so good. Let me explain, because if Legend got that code in, it'd be over. But now Ground Branch have a chance to come clawing back, and as you said, like there isn't much coverage to type in a code behind cover, but if you just pick off enough defenders, you don't need any coverage. You could just run up and cap like Legel nearly did. So, I mean, Ground Branch could do something very similar here and stay in this.
Definitely don't want to count them out at any point, considering how well they did on Suburbia. You know, and again, we haven't really brought it up since Boss Fight have been putting up some good rounds, but Ground Branch is ranked 22 worldwide. Boss Fight is ranked 4th. So for Ground Branch to be as close and in this as much as they are, I think is just a testament to that team. Certainly not a negative by any means for this team to lose because they've been putting on a pretty good show. I mean, Suburbia's rounds nearly all came down to 1v1s or 1v2s.
Yeah, it got crazy. It has been getting crazy. They, I mean, aside from that that last round, like it's always been so close coming down to the wire between these two teams. It's never been really quite a blowout.
Push the wrong button there. It's actually round 4, not 6. That would be mathematically impossible, but we're not really great at math here, so it's never been our strong point.
Boss Fight smart, looking for attackers to make sure that they can cross south. That was what went wrong last round for Ground Branch. But Legel does make it to the south point here, and that's going to be pretty good coverage.
You know, that new little hole in the wall is so well, not new, but that hole in the wall there on that corner is so huge. You know, I've seen it favored a lot by defensive players. If they can get up into that corner, a nice nade toss just misses Mystics, but it's powerful. You have lots of coverage. You can really hold this whole South Street, and I mean now Mystics he's stuck. He can't swing out on this side of the street. Scooby's right on his other end.
Yeah, I was just about to say, if you're new to Onward and watching this, you're gonna say, why is Legel just sitting there? But he's actually waiting for a cross. He's watching that line, and what you really want to do in Onward is watch certain lines that enemies have to cross. Like Legel knew he was at the white car. He threw a grenade, didn't get him, but that wasn't really his problem to worry about. Like Scooby is right there on the hole to take out people nearby, and Legel can radio that into Scooby, and he popped up and took out both of those attackers.
Polis Bill finds a kill, bringing Ground Branch down to just 2, and not looking optimal for their must-win round here to stay in this series. Boss Fight with 5 is still up, and 35 playing spoiler to the north. I gotta wonder what GB's plan of approach is gonna be here.
They definitely have to rethink this approach. Legend might find the rear of 35 while Ollie tries to push in. I mean, they got 3 minutes on the clock still. They can pull some stuff off. I've seen crazier comebacks. But 35 takes out him. Legend with the refrag, so now it is not good for Legend because the whole team knows exactly where he is. And if you're Boss Fight, you just radio out, oh, he's on the roof. Everyone just rush him or something. You know, like Legel's looking right at Legend.
Oh. Just grazing the side of cover there, nearly missing Legend's head.
Legend trying to get a pick on Legel, though. He's not giving this up.
Gotta be careful. Viper has an angle, and Polis as well finds the kill. Boss Fight lock in their final Volk round and take the series with a map 2 win, 4-0. Obviously, if you are new here, we still got more Onward to present to you. We get to see how Ground Branch do on a third map of their pick. Likely going to be close quarters, and I don't think it can be.
I don't think. Yeah, I think this was a
Cargo,
mistake unless they I guess, took back their ban.
We'll see. We'll reserve what. I mean, what are the options, right? If Cargo is banned, they have Subway still on the plate, and bizarre. I would say Subway probably the closest they'll get to a close quarters cargo-esque sort of map. And yeah, cargo is definitely off of the menu today, so not something that they're gonna let Ground Branch pick into. It is what Ground Branch want for their second map pick, but there's a reason Boss Fight banned it, because they know that on that close quarters things can get a little spicy, and they like to keep things at range when they can. So case in point, Viper with a 6 times on Suburbia, you know? They really want their range.
Even just a little bit of range. Like Suburbia isn't the most range, but there are different angles you can hold that are certainly long range. And I think that they'll probably pick Bazaar based off of that desire for some range.
Well, it's Ground Branch's pick, so I'd think they'd want to stay away from that, from allowing Boss Fight to have what they want. So, I guess Subway, but even, there's still angles and whatnot that get a little extended there, but I think if they want to stick to keeping things tight in close quarters, that's going to be their choice. And it is seemingly where we'll be headed for map 2. Or map 3, gee.
I knew you'd call it eventually. I'm not sure, it's possible that Ground Branch let them choose the map so they could take bulk. So I'm not sure who picked this. I think it was Ground Branch.
Yeah, just from the initial lobby setup, it seems Boss Fight's heading onto defense.
Sure does. Nice. I love Subway. I don't like being a caster on Subway due to all the limited camera movements, but I love Subway as a player. And I also don't like how dark it is. I wish... Come on, Downpour. Can we just get a floodlight here that just lights up everything?
A floodlight that's more powerful than the crank one in your basement? Yeah, that would be fantastic. I'd love to also see the matchup on Subway, but one day, right? It's not vital right now, but eventually I'm sure we'll have some power in our flashlights. It's like, it gets a little dark in the spectate sometimes.
Yeah, it does. It's like one of those flashlights that you shake to activate. That's what it feels like. Yeah,
slowly dying on you for every moment that you have it turned on. Yeah, it certainly does. Regardless, it's a close quarters map for sure, and I'm interested to see if Boss Fight are going to play this one aggressive, because they're capable of it. Yes, they are masters, if you will, at the range, and I'm sure some people would argue otherwise, that Viper isn't necessarily a master sniper, but he'll tell you he is. They are very good at range, but they are also skilled at close quarters. When you put them up against an NA team, like ALG or, potentially G-Men, they're able to sort of hold their own in those scenarios. Boss Fight does well in quick quarters. Also, you saw some great flashes from the likes of Radar and Viper on Suburbia. And so, it's going to be more of that here on map 3. And if you're Ground Branch, You're playing. The real reason that every team plays in the league is for fun, because they want to have good comp matches. And hey, you got another map to play competitively. There's no reason not to come at it with focus.
I couldn't agree more. And I just, I wish we could see this objective a little bit better, because this is actually my favorite objective. I don't know about you guys out there, but there's something about this objective that is not only fun to defend, but really fun to push as Marsoc. You have all those angles. Like, you can come in from the south, you can come in from the north. It's maybe even the east. You have so many options. And as a defender, it's like I could catch them off guard coming out of the tunnel in the south. I could push the north alleyway and catch those guys off guard. There's just so much opportunity as a player to cause chaos. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. No, but definitely going to be a spicy, spicy map 3 here, because I feel like at this point, Ground Branch gave it their all, and now they're just going to kind of get loose with it. I actually don't know exactly how much Ground Branch likes this map. But I know that Boss Fight are more than capable of handling this map. And I mean, you know, they Ground Branch has to at least get some practice in. Like we were mentioning at the very top of the cast, like if you're going to compete in round robins, you know, you have a set map pool that you have to play on. You don't get to choose the map. So you have to be good at these maps. Because if you don't have enough points on the board at the end of the day, you won't be moving up to the semifinals. So yeah, it kind of comes down to that's why round robins are so stressful, because like you have to be good at every map, and then you just kind of hope that the maps that you're not very good at, you don't have a really strong team to play for those maps.
Right.
So yeah, it's they got their work cut out for them here.
We'll see you know, what they are able to sort of put together for this final map. I'm looking at the rosters. I don't think we're seeing any subs coming in from either side, which is interesting. You know, a point that we like to make here is always good to have more than 5 on your active roster, and always good to keep those extra subs you have practiced and sort of up to speed with the team and their strats. And always a great way to do that is to bring them in once you've kind of locked in a series. And just get them a little bit of experience. You know, maybe you deviate a little bit from your starting 5. You see it in nearly every other sport, right? You bring in your subs if you've got that win sort of locked in, just so they can get that practice. Because, you know, who knows? It could be in the championship game when you have a disconnect and you need that sub to be ready to play.
Yeah, absolutely. I do see a fresh face here. UC Death has joined the ranks of Boss Fight.
You're right.
And Pulse Bill, you know, he did play map 2, but I didn't see him in map 1. So yeah, the Boss Fight doing a good job of rotating in different members, making sure everyone can get a little time under their belts before the big semis. But yeah, I mean, as long as, you know, Boss Fight have this, I mean, they're top 4, so they don't have to risk going through the round robins or anything like that. So it's really just going to come down to try and just get as much time for all your players before semis. You can always scrim, of course, but it's never the same, you know? It's just playing the game for all the marbles is where it's at.
I don't know what the delay is here. Let's get into this final map. I mean, me and Wookie have been buying enough time to get this thing going. Dare I say, cut to an intermission.
No. Don't do that.
Hey, look, we've held the door for quite a long time, all right? It's eventually...
I love how you call it that. I watched your solo cast yesterday. Like, I guess I'm just gonna hold the door here for them, and I loved that. It's because it's exactly what it feels like as a caster. It's like you just hold the door.
Yeah. The Twitch masses trying to clamor through, and we're just here trying to be the buffer. Please no. Either way, it seems we've held long enough, and now the Twitch masses can come right on through. Map number 1 is underway. Boss Fight on defense and Ground Branch on offense. See what they can bring to the table.
Yeah, the reason I said no, don't do that is because I was literally messaging Sayonara to start. So I guess they were waiting for us. I don't know.
Curious. Either way, we're on board the drone getting set up here in the north from Scooby. Using it to push all the way up, guarantee safety of this early angle. Kind of an odd drone movement choice. Scooby does swing into the north and find some shots.
Yeah, I mean, interesting idea from Scooby, because
maybe it was there for that early spawn. I think you can spawn on this north side and be right up the stairs. Polis catching one in the overpass.
Well, I mean, if Scooby does have that drone, I would, you know, play some mind games and fall back, right?
He sent it out right away down this north lane, you know, and I was following it, trying to figure out what the purpose of this is, and I think it is because he was checking the early north spawn. It would have been incredibly aggressive, you know, for the team to be able to charge up the stairs and be there, but safety first, I guess, and now he's holding this angle, waiting for Melted to swing. The trade comes out. Both are resable.
Yeah, it does look like Ground Branch are opting to take the horseshoe, and as I say that, Pulse Bill takes out Ollie, so now Legend X is looking for the refrag. He's prone, looking at the stairs.
Couple of kills coming out there. Confirm and another shot up in the west, I believe, or east over there. And it's always going to come down to Legend in this catwalk trying to push out here. The overpass, whatever you want to call it. And not going to be easy to get up to Polis.
Legend living up to the name because he is often the last remaining player on Ground Branch I've seen today. Like he's the legend. But he couldn't quite pull it through here against Polis Bill. Bossite will take a commanding round 1 with 0 losses.
Yeah, they are riding that momentum wave right now. Something that they are good at doing. Boss Fight is a team that has very, a good amount of experience playing at the top level, playing in the closed qualifiers, in the semis. They are a team that has made it to the finals before. They're a team that knows how to deal with the pressure and knows how to deal with success, and they do quite well with it. You know, those closed qualifiers teams, you can never count them out. You always got to be playing diligently. They're a team that is great at riding it back against bad momentum as well, and I think it really is what sort of, separates some teams from others in how good you can work with momentum and how good you can come back from adversity. Some teams can't play well until they're down 3-1, 3-2. They can't do well until the pressure's on. Others succeed and run off that success.
Yeah, sometimes they just need a little fire lit under their feet to really get the juices flowing, get the kills coming. But sad to say for Ground Branch, they are already just trying to fight for the MMR at this point. Because again, they want to place high on the standings, but they have done such a great job climbing the ladder this season that I have no doubt they'll probably be a top 15 team next season. We'll see. You can have the roster changes and things can happen, but I mean, Ground Branch just playing really well today.
What I love is how their story is not unique in the VRML either, right? We've seen plenty of new teams challenge up into the top 20. Velociraptors, Aimless Gaming, teams that have taken on brand new players to this season and done incredibly well. It's a testament to the community and the coaching. And we're going to have some early action. Viper here with the shield. One goes down over the shoulder. Melted T flashed out, and Viper, applying the pressure, does find the pistol kill.
Why would you stop, he says. Yeah, I don't think Viper realized he was flashed, but yeah, I mean, wouldn't hurt to keep moving, I guess, if you're flashed.
Hard to know where you even are, so
yeah,
can't blame him for not necessarily. Maybe he thought he was moving and he wasn't, but either way, a good
Viper,
pickup there, 1-for-1. Yeah, Viper's loud on this corner.
Yeah, he was just too good with the flashbang, though. I mean, that was why the guy was sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful flash on objective. Not sure it caught anyone, though. I think Ollie was too protected. Oh,
this on OBJ defense is weak. Ollie Howden is the only one holding the objective.
I am not liking this spread. This is really not good. Especially with 3 members barreling down North Alley right now.
35 could come up on a catwalk, be a threat to that angle. They're holding for that south push, and they had the north spawn, so no one's coming south. Everyone is up here in the north.
And it's tough as a defender because you're kind of like anticipating a attacker to come through the south approach at some point, just because it takes a while to run through the tunnels. But eventually you will have to, just realize that no one is approaching you from that angle and just kind of fall back. It's not an easy decision either on when to call that. Usually, though, it's when you hear a lot of gunfire coming from the opposite direction. I'm not sure who. Oh, is he
Sayonara.
Sayonara shooting that shield? 35, taking out Legend from a flank.
Very
Viper
good
with that
flash.
flashlight is so strong, and that grenade takes him out. Incredible teamwork coming out of boss fight on this north alley push. Ooh, flashes getting
That's a
traded
good
between the
flash.
two teams.
That's a couple of good flashes. Mystic and Ollie completely blind.
Did Viper put his gun? Yeah, he placed the weapon on the trash can. I love that fillet that Viper did. Just blinding any defender that looks down the alleyway. Oh, I was so afraid that was going to happen because UC Death kept shooting and taking out Viper, but 35 cleans it up after a messy team kill. I think Death was flashed. That's why that happened. That was chaotic.
There was 10 flash grenades that got thrown into the courtyard. So somebody was flashed at some point. Yeah, I can guarantee that much. But yeah, chaotic approach. You know, good on Ground Branch to make it that close. Because like I was saying, I thought that was boss fight, an easy cap in the bag there with how that defense was set up. But ultimately, they don't linger too long on their positions and get into the action when it matters, and can't get the kills they need, but at least prevent the cap from coming out. And now boss fight go on the defense. We got at least 2 more rounds here if boss fight managed to take what they're going up against. But the momentum, you know, the shift, you can feel it. Boss fight are just playing this a little bit better. To Ground Branch's point, though, they are still playing quite well. You know, they're playing it tight. They're not getting over aggressive. They're not flinging themselves out into the chaos. They had that planned defense for that objective. They wanted to favor the south in case they could catch that south spawn out. And when it didn't happen, they did rotate to get back onto OBJ.
Yeah, that was a good rotation, and it kind of paid off because they actually had a flank at one point on I think one of the attackers. I think it was 35, but he was able to take that flanker out, unfortunately, for Ground Branch. Now it's my second favorite objective, basement.
Yeah, we'll see what the approach is for the likes of Ground Branch on offense. It's not a I don't know.
I kind of like.
Yeah, is it hard to attack? You know, there's multiple entry points. Yeah, it's hard to come down those stairs and come out of the basement.
But I like Ground Branch's so far unorthodox strategies on Subway. I mean, they've actually been playing out to some success for them. I mean, yeah, boss fight has 2 points on the board, but again, we're coming down to these like 2v1 situations.
Yeah, true.
And especially after the defensive layout I saw last round, I wasn't expecting much, but yeah, they did really good. 35 here in Mystic's trade. Death does call that out over the radio. Could have been a trade, so now the team knows.
No one working into that underground, though. We've got the north and the south entries from up top coming in. That means they're going to have to approach from the stairs or clear Viper and make their entry into the underground on his stairwell, but they got to get rid of Viper first.
Ollie getting caught by Viper. Some information for Sayonara to work with.
4.
Flash toss. Don't think it catches Viper. Certainly does not. We taught that's right there why you need to air burst, right? If he throws that deep into the tunnel, bursts it in the middle of the tunnel, Viper likely gets caught. But because it hits the ground, there's a multitude of things that could deny it vision. The doorway, the corner of the stairs, even the train tracks could have prevented that flash from hitting Viper there. So a lot of elements in play.
You know, people think it's so easy to use flashbangs because they get flashed, and then they when it's time for them to actually use the flashbang appropriately, it's like, what? How are they not flashed? I just flashed them. It's like, no, you really didn't.
Yeah.
I've been there myself. I'm like, how did I not flash them? And it's just like something silly, like the railing on the train tracks or something will block it. That's why, like you said, you got to get that airburst. Cook it a little bit and then throw it. It's a very short fuse, though. Don't let it blow up in your hand.
You get shot holding it, you're gonna end up killing whoever's around.
Well, and it's like it's so hard to throw with like inside out tracking, to be fair. So I can understand why people don't want to risk it, because the fuse is so short on flashes that you could easily blind yourself.
This is interesting. Melted. I mean, hey, comes down these stairs. He's got Polis to deal with, and then he's set up to catch out everyone rotating back to OBJ. Not even be able to get a code punch in if it's quick enough.
Yeah. And then we also have Legend taking his time to move in. I mean, they have 90 seconds on the clock. It's getting a little close. Polis is just such a tight angle of Melted T. Yep. Peaks is down.
You swing that corner, and there's about 10 angles you have to check.
Yeah.
You have to check the stair. You have to check where Polis is right now. You have to check the pillar he's behind. You have to then check the far back corner behind the Coke machine and the close corner by the bench. You know, there's just a multitude of spots where people could end up waiting for you around there. So a tough peak there. Ultimately, Polis gets the kill.
Yeah, such a tight angle for Polis. I mean, I always count on someone being in Polis's position, and I try to flash it whenever possible. But, you know, he may not have had any utility to use. Viper might find the back of Legend. Does he see it? Oh, he does. He misses, but he calls it out. Legend getting aggressive. Oh, flub grenade. Does catch him. UC with the flank.
Bit of an awkward finale there, but Boss Fight snag themselves the Volk round and push it up 3-0.
Yeah, you know, Ground Branch playing a little too conservatively. I think I would like to see a little bit more aggression coming out of them at this point in the game. I mean, you guys have nothing to lose. You know, you're losing all your momentum by just crab walking around the map like that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's hard to get fast wins when you're playing it slow, as the obvious thing to say. But what they needed was a quick couple of back-to-backs to sort of get momentum into their favor. And you know, if you let these things draw in, it's harder to suffer a 5-minute loss than a 1-minute loss. You know, a 1-minute loss you can bounce back from a lot easier than a 5-minute loss, because that means whoever's died over the course of that 5 minutes has been waiting and waiting and waiting. At least if your whole team dies in the first minute, your whole team's back for the next round.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Grand Branch, again, have been playing extremely well against the likes of Boss Fight. The Boss Fight are nothing. Yeah, nothing to shrug at. But when you're just like the last two, it can be a little painful to just kind of like sneak around and get taken out. But I mean, like, they're a new team; they're learning this stuff. So I don't want to be too critical against Ground.
You're right, and we can't fault them either, because we're seeing pros do it. You know, we saw yesterday in that Animal House game, you know, Soda coming back from 2v4s regularly. You know, like it was a consistent bouncing back despite the disparity in KD. So, you know, you can't blame them for trying to rally here off of that 2 left alive. But yeah, it's, you know, at some point maybe better to play things quick.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, to that point, you know, if you do have one other person up, it's best to try and regroup instead of like you as individuals going in slowly. I mean, that's really what I was trying to say.
I gotcha. I didn't mean to be making the counterpoint. Lyle Sayonara finds Polis, and just something I was observing, you know, because it's possible. I was seeing it yesterday, and it's impressive, and it's very hard to do, but you know, certainly is doable. But Sayonara flashes out here. Again, the flash would have caught nobody. You know, it ends up bouncing up against this server, and no matter where anybody is inside this room, no one's getting flashed by that.
Sayonara gonna find the likes of Viper. He does. Oh, the trading of utility there. Viper wins that. That was a nice takedown by Viper. Didn't even use his shield. He just ran out with the pistol. Clearly very confident on his abilities there.
Boss fights. Looking to lock in the final round, have a 4v3, make it a 3v3. Mystic finds Scooby-Doo as he rotates to the underground.
Oh no!
Make it a 3v2 as he gets team killed, and now Ground Branch left with just Melted and Legend, Ollie, Legend able to call in comms, not any longer. He's confirmed. Now just to these two in the basement.
Yeah, you hate to see it, chat. I mean, it was even, and then Melted, unfortunately, taking out his teammate as he comes down the stairs. You could just when that happens, it's easy to laugh it off, but like this just goes to show like everyone's on edge. The nerves, everyone's nervous.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see lasers, you don't see name tags, you don't see anyone through walls. It's all down to just how aware you are of your team's positioning by checking the tablet on your back. And so certainly a tough situation to overcome when, your heart's racing and your trigger finger is itching to take a shot at anything it sees.
So true. Yeah, the nerves really come into play, especially on these, 0-3 kind of situations where you want to put a point on the board. Ooh, Melted T does take out Viper there. That does at least even the odds a bit. But, Ground Branch definitely would be in a stronger position with 3 members up. It's going to be interesting to see how Boss Fight approach this, because they are kind of in like a similar situation to what Ground Branch was last round here. 2 attackers and really just 1 or 2 defenders on objective.
They're holding on well enough. We've said it's hard to enter in these stairs if you're on offense, and not going to be any easier for Boss Fight, especially if they don't have any utility available. "55 seconds left. They're going to have to make their move soon."
That's what's going through the minds of Ground Branch right now. They're like, why do I not see any attackers? 40 seconds on the clock, and I don't see anything. Like, what's going on? You see Death and 35 working together now in this approach. 2 flashes go out, but they're too short. It doesn't actually flash anyone. You see Death's going to push that. Doesn't succeed. Melted throws a flash. Oh, a grenade. That prevents 35 access. That definitely stalls every crucial second that 35 needs.
Oh, good air burst.
Good air burst. Takes out Melted T, but Ollie there and that flank gets him. So, hey, they got a point on the board.
You got one. They managed to do it. Well, I guess they didn't do it on quarantine. I stand corrected. But yeah, 7 unanswered points. Finally gets squandered there by Ground Branch, and get things a little closer here for the final map. Gonna be interesting to see how they attack. But yeah, that was interesting. I mean, what are your thoughts there?
Well, I mean, and that was with a team kill. So I mean, it just goes to show how hard an objective this is to push if you're Marsoc. Right. The odds are really against you in this one. But that said, we are going to a new objective now. Which one was it? Let me see. Mid-platform, I think.
Yeah, one that we have seen plenty of caps come through on. I would say one of the more kept on objectives on Subway. This and North Stairwell.
Certainly, yeah.
The most dangerous, but Boss Fight aware of that, and we'll see if Ground Branch can. I think the most effective way to approach this objective is from all 4 or 5 angles. Really, go with a full split. 1 come up the basement stairs on objective, 2 down north and south, and 2 in the catwalk. I feel like you end up really covering your ground appropriately because you need to have full control of the whole subway to really feel confident making a move up to the objective.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Looks like Boss Fight has called a timeout, however. So, yeah, interesting to see. I wonder what they are cooking up.
Wow. Well, that means we'll cut to a brief intermission. There is potentially 1 round left for Boss Fight to lock in this final map. We will be back to it when they're ready. Don't go anywhere. A silent round timer has come through, and we are here for round number 5. A very brief timeout, thankfully. Does mean we're right here for the action, and again with the upstairs objective. Already nades coming out. Viper here with flashes hitting him. A bit of a botched one. It gets the stairs. That's not going to work out too terribly well for him. Viper with the Molotov in hand gets naded. The molly burns, and that's going to slow up an initial outpush from the stairs.
I love to see mollies used.
Oh, good Sayonara, a touch there. Death trying to stop the entry from Sayonara. He goes down on stairs. This is opened up on objective a little bit, and you see some rotations in the stairwell. Scooby-Doo, 35, all looking to get themselves lines of sight onto objective, concerned about the potential cap. Good flash comes out, and 1 goes down. Sayonara still prone, gets picked up. A nice push there from 35 to snag 2, and it all comes down to Legend. No surprise, I guess.
Man, that was so close for Ground Branch, and they just kind of flubbed that approach, sadly. I was really rooting for them to make it through a little bit after that UC death pick.
You heard the panic in Boss Fight. The panic in Boss Fight was because, hey, they got the kills. This is open. They should be pushing in right now. They should be going for the cap right now. We got to make sure they're not capping, and they were rushing to make sure that didn't happen, and it didn't, and they got their kills. And yeah, I think they just waited a hair too long, and it's hard. You know, it's hard to assess. Hey, we can just charge out here and be fine. They don't have, obviously, the vision we do.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really interesting spread out defensive position from Boss Fight to begin with. So they were definitely cognizant of that because, like you pointed out, they all went rushing back, and they're like, holy crap, we're really spread out right now, and they could cap out from under us. That Molotov did buy Boss Fight some time, though. It kept the attackers at bay, and I think that was really like the most important thing, was that Molly slowing down Ground Branch, preventing them from just rushing out and taking that objective, because they got that pick on death. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, just great plays all around.
Make sure to get the tokens.
Legend is just staying there in that corner and misses the rotation from Scooby. Precious seconds are counting down here. Pretty sure Legend hears Polis Bill. That's why he's so hesitant to go down the stairs. I'm surprised he doesn't see Scooby.
On the hunt. You know, he's got that 1v2 in his mind, and he's close. Shots coming in from Scoobs, Duel, and Legend goes down. Boss fight. Lock in the final round of the series. What was a solid performance from Ground Branch results in a commanding W from a team that was expected to win today. You know, you look at the connoisseur votes, and like we were saying, it was 4-68 or something. So
yeah.
If anything, again, important to highlight how GB did do well against the likes of Boss Fight and bring things as close as they did. With an early lead on Suburbia, my brain was it was on fire, man. I didn't know what was gonna happen. It was a lot of toss-up there, but ultimately Boss Fight proved, hey, we deserve where we're at for a reason, and you're gonna be someone we're gonna have to watch them in that close qualifier because I think they pretty much locked in their spot here.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm gonna keep my eye on Ground Branch. I want to see how they perform during the round robins. You know, and that'll be really interesting to see how they behave. I mean, round robins are so hard for a multitude of reasons. One of them being that you don't have any control over when you play. You know, and
it'll be the hardest round robin that we've ever had in VRML. You know, I can guarantee you that. Just because of, again, how competitive that 10 to 20 pool is. It's going to be really exciting to tune into, and that's going to be next weekend. So if you are here in venues, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you're at, Twitch, watching in, we do appreciate you. Be sure to tune in next weekend. We'll be having that. Well, I don't know if we'll have it on venues. We might. I think we might. Either way, it's going to be broadcast out. That open qualifier, which then leads to the closed qualifier, which then leads to the semis and finals on the 12th and 13th of December. We're right there at the end of our season, and it's an exciting time to be tuning in. Speaking of, you want to make sure you hit that follow button no matter where you're at, because we are going to be bringing some action to you the rest of this week. There are some more games that we got to keep an eye on. Some teams like Ember, who are very close to that rank 7 position, playing, and a lot of hype around this final Sunday, if you will, of the regular season tomorrow.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see what happens.
Whew. It's going to be some good stuff. Just like this was an exciting series, I anticipate the next one to be even more so. And again, be sure to drop by. A quick shout out to everyone that has tuned in. We do appreciate you all stopping by and hanging out with us for this cast. Also, a shout out to all of our sponsors. There's a lot of them. Pro2VR, VR Cover, B Haptics, HyperX, Rebuff Reality, Cyber Shoes, Arma, VRware, Asterion, and Fixed all come together to offer a substantial amount of prizing for our league. These teams are competing for what is $1,500 in prizing on the line, over $5,000 in raw cash, alongside tons and tons of actual prizing from our sponsors. You know, haptic vests, VR covers, headphones, battery packs. The list is endless, nearly. Every peripheral you could need is on the line here, and so a lot to compete for if you're at that top 7, right? I mean, you would know, right? Look.
Yeah, it's no easy task, I tell you that much.
Absolutely. So I think that's going to be it from us here, though, on the desk and for this afternoon. We do appreciate everyone that has tuned in again, and that'll be it. My name is Nightfire with 2 E's, my co-caster Wookie with only 1. We'll see you all tomorrow for more action. Don't miss it.